Futebol is the thread that connects all of Brazilian life. It's in our soil. It's in our roots. In every corner, all along the coast, a dance of the spirit in our hearts. More than a pastime, it's our national passion. The beautiful games next home, for the emotions, for the moments, for the colors of the cup.
Brazil, of course, the host for World Cup 2014. The 5 stars of the Brazilian jersey say it all. No one else can approach that level of dominance through the many decades of the FIFA World Cup. They win so often, they often win so beautifully. This is a Brazilian national side that the people home in Brazil rarely see in person. The vast majority of Brazilian friendlies are played overseas. And on a recent trip I made to Brazil on behalf of Outside the Lines, I discovered that results are important, but so too is style.
The game is everywhere in this nation, and so is the tension between success and style. These children's parents' generation recalls the romance of O Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game. Brazil's unique legacy was founded on youth. Pelé's heroics as a 17-year-old in 1958 and 2 additional World Cup titles leave him still, at the age of 71, perhaps the best-known person on the planet. There have been 2 more recent titles, but a disappointing showing in South Africa, with the style criticized as boring, leaves idealists pining for the beauty still associated with the national shirt.
Is it possible to recapture that, to win, but win artistically?
This is the big dilemma, right? The big challenge. In the year of the World Cup in Brazil, I believe that the big commitment will be to win the World Cup.
Any way you can.
Any way we can. Sometimes giving up a little bit on the Jogo Bonito, but making sure that we will win and get to the final. Right? This will be #1 priority for sure.
But the ideal of winning artistically carries great historical and emotional weight here.
Because we experience soccer in the most mistakenly patriotic way. There was a writer in Brazil, Nelson Rodrigues, who used to say that the national team, Brazil's national team, was the motherland wearing cleats. If Brazil won the World Cup, it was a better country. If it lost, it wasn't as good a country as it should be.
Soccer's center of gravity is in Europe. The final thrilling moments of a penalty shootout in the Champions League semifinal riveted these fans in Rio. 21 of Brazil's 23 players on its last World Cup squad were under contract to teams in Europe. Now, budding Brazilian superstar Neymar, playing domestically, may be the next test case in a decades-long story of migrating for money.
Is it a given Neymar is going to have to go to Europe to make the money he is worth?
I don't agree. In the past, you would say any good player to grow, to make money, needs to leave. Brazil doesn't need this anymore. And now we have enough money coming from televisions, from sponsorships, even from tickets, that makes possible to the clubs to keep the best players.
In Brazil, the national side is called the Seleção, the selection, covering them for ESPN Brazil. Our colleague Rubens Pozzi, who joins us this evening. Ruben, it is a treat to have you here. How well has this selection, basically the Olympic team, an under 23 and under team, how well have they been playing of late?
Hi, Bob. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. And, well, this team is the basis of the Olympics. Mano Menezes has called at least 17 players that are under 23 years old. So I think that at least 14 of those players will be in London next month, in July. So he's training. He's a hard worker. We see a lot of changes in the way of the Brazil playing. I saw your report. This is the X-ray about what happens in Brazil in the last years. So I think that Mano Menezes is trying to change it.
Neymar, the big question, we alluded to it in the story. What is the feeling in Brazil? Just the other day, Ronaldo said, and not for the first time, this young man should leave. How do Brazilians feel about that?
Well, in my opinion, as a Brazilian, I would like that Neymar stays playing in Brazil for a while. But as a professional, everybody knows that he must leave, go to Europe to be, who knows, the first in the world, the best player in the world, to become a star of the soccer. Because in Brazil, we know that will not happen. It will not happen.
In your opinion, where does he go and when does he go?
I think that he will go after the Olympics and in the end of the year in the max. And I think he probably go or to Barcelona or the Mourinho's team, whatever it will be, Real Madrid, or if he changes.
But you think Spain?
Probably. He likes very much Barcelona. He likes very much.
Is there a plan in Brazil to try to bring the league up to as much of a higher standard as in Europe? I know there's been such a past of so many exports going to Europe. Is there going to be a time when Brazil can keep all those players at home?
Yeah, we are in a best time. Economically, we are very good in Brazil right now. So the teams, they are spending a lot of money to keep the best players in the country. Neymar is there, Ganso is there. This guy, Oscar, you will see he plays very well. He's still in Brazil. They are making a lot of money in Brazil. But I think that the Brazilian organization is far from what we expect. Is far from. Brazil needs organization and it's more seriously. The teams, they spend a lot of money with players, but they have a huge doubt with the government, with even the players. There are some teams that contract but don't pay.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what this selection does tonight. They won in Denmark and Hamburg, Germany over the weekend. They play Mexico in Dallas. You'll be covering them every step of the way. Rubens Posey, ESPN Brazil. Thank you so much for joining us. We deeply appreciate it.
Thank you.
As we continue this evening, moving towards the kick of USA and Brazil. This day, the newest class of the National Soccer Hall of Fame was inducted. You see Tony DeChico there, Des Armstrong, Tony Miola, Claudio Reyna, all inducted today. We continue moving towards the kick, the USA and Brazil.
.com today.
It begins a week from Friday, 3 weeks plus of the most prestigious soccer between the World Cups. UEFA Euro 2012 on ESPN, ESPN2, the Watch ESPN app, and on ESPN3.com. Exclusive English language coverage on the ESPN family of networks on the Euro 2012 teams playing their prep matches. Let's check in with Spain today, playing South Korea and Bern, Switzerland. In the 11th minute, Santo Carzola with the cross. Fernando Torres with the header. He's now fourth on the all-time Spanish scoring list with 28 goals. And then late in the match, it was 3-1 at the time. Roberto Soldado threw ball to Alvaro Negredo, who slots it home. Spain with the comfortable victory. The Netherlands playing Slovakia, this in Rotterdam. Ibrahim, a fillet with a cross put in by defender Cornel Salada for an own goal. That was very early in the match. And then late in the 75th minute, Rafael van der Voort doubling the lead. So the Dutch World Cup finalists getting ready for that group of death with the win over Slovakia. The Swedes playing Iceland in Gothenburg, Sweden. Sebastian Larsson gets it going in the 12th minute. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic, his 30th career goal for Sweden. And then in the 77th minute, poor clearance by the Icelandic keeper. And how often do you say that? Christian Wilhelmsson makes him pay. Sweden has to work for their supper with a 3-2 victory over Iceland. Here we go, guys, as we'll all be working together for the 3+ weeks of Euro 2012. Time to look at the groups. Group A, I guess the group of life, you might say.
What's going on with Greece there? Come on. Who cares about the numbers?
It's a tough group. The tough group, that second group.
Down, and then, of course, you've got Spain and then whoever follows with them. Who, Casey, in Group C, do you think will be your runner-up team?
Well, you would have thought before all the scandal happened the last couple of days that Italy would have to be in there. But now, who knows what's going to happen with that Italian side? I think it's anybody's after that.
Group D. There's England, hoping that news today that Frank Lampard has come up. He probably will not be in the English side, and the English is grasping at whatever straws they can, that hopefully they'll be able to put something together. The atmosphere is building here. You guys have played so many through your national team career, visiting matches at home. When whomever you played, there are more fans in attendance. How do you think it'll break down here tonight?
Well, let's look around here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yellow out there. But to be fair, there's a lot of, well, now it's striped red and white. So I think it'll be pretty even. A lot of people get excited when you talk about Brazil and want to come see Neymar and just want to see Brazil for what it is. You know, it is one of the biggest bands in the world, and you want to see it.
But it is one of the strangest anomalies in world soccer. Playing at home, playing as a home player in the United States, how many times we could step on the field and be actually the away team in means of attendance at the stadium. Very, very interesting when I explained that to other players in Europe.
Speaking of attendance, February the 10th, 1998 at the LA Memorial Coliseum. There were only 12,000 people there in Gold Cup play. Casey Keller with a save.
Yeah.
And another save.
Look at this. Casey, just sit there. Just don't even say anything. Look at this.
Rookie with the goal coming on. Romario called it the greatest performance by a goalkeeper he had ever seen. When you heard that he had said that, what did you feel?
Well, I was honored, of course, because it's the previous Golden Boot winner in the last World Cup. But at one stage during the game, I'd made a couple saves against him, and he didn't know what to do, so he kind of looked at me at the ground and then just actually put his hand out and shook my hand in the middle of the game.
Yeah, there came a point when the game when I would just turn around and go, Casey, you got it! That was it.
12,000 people there. You've met, what, 40 or 50,000 who told you that they were there that night?
Exactly. It was a tremendous moment of my career.
The only time in 16 meetings, the USA with the victory. Costa Rican officiating crew getting ready to blow the whistle this evening as we build toward the kick. Brazil and the United States of America. World Cup qualifying begins in 9 days. The business end of June's bit of work for the United States national team. There was the occasion back in 2009 when the United States took the 2-0 lead in South Africa on Brazil. They came back. There was that night in 1998, as you just saw before the break, when the United States defeated Brazil 1-0. We talked to Jurgen Klinsmann earlier today about this game, whether he had any butterfly. He wanted to deflect that question, talking about his players. But he has to believe after 10 months and 1 day, 5 consecutive victories, here's a chance to show the blueprint works against one of the best sides in the world. And he's shown it already against Italy. Tonight, a bigger test.
Yeah, and he's coming off that game against Scotland, which is certainly a touchstone. But I think it's important to recognize that Jurgen Klinsmann was not hired to establish a system that is going to beat the likes of Scotland. He was hired to establish a system that enables this U.S. team to beat the elite and to compete at least against the elite, like Brazil tonight.
Well, and that's something that's very, very difficult around the world. You only have a handful of teams that have won World Cups. Everybody wants to be that top team in the world. A tough task for any coach, much at Jurgen Klinsmann or whoever would be in this job, but he's really making a lot of strides in the last 5 games.
We see Landon Donovan there in the tunnel. Made some remarks in the last few days before the Scotland match, talking about whether he still had the inner drive, the fire, whether he could see the end of the road even at the age of 30, having gone through a number of cycles. Goes out 48 hours later and puts up a hat trick. I talked to him yesterday about Saturday. He said, I don't want to talk about Saturday. That's done. If you noticed on the evening against Scotland, after reaching the 3 goals, he didn't crack a smile. It was, we got business to do. But still, he seems to vacillate where his heart lies with this sport at times.
Well, I think you can question where you are in terms of your career and still be a professional and go out there and give a professional performance. And he made a point after the game of talking about the fact that he is still a professional. I think that showed up in the game. When you saw his comments, it was almost a therapy session with him talking about where he stood and thinking about his place on and off the field with soccer. It was interesting, but you know what? If that's going to result in 3 goals a game, no problem.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's always times in your career when you're going to be a little bit up, a little bit down. You're never quite sure how it all works out. Landon has gone through those multiple times in his career. He started so young, but I'm sure he's got plenty of years left, and there's a lot of drive left in him in this U.S. national team.
You can call it a friendly. It does not have the atmosphere of a friendly here in Landover. One more of these for the United States on Sunday as they will travel up north of the border and take on Canada. And then the World Cup qualifications begin. The home match Friday, June 8th against Antigua and Barbuda from the Caribbean. And then Tuesday, the 12th of June at Guatemala. So the friendly with Canada and then qualifying points are needed. The USA fully expected to rack up certainly 3 that first match. Have shown a proclivity to become better than just getting a draw when going down to Central America, and now the Brazilians make their way into the tunnel. This, a moment for Brazil. Mano Menezes, who has this team, has basically been told, you know, the Brazilians have never won an Olympic gold. It's the only major competition they've never won. And essentially, he's been told, bring home the gold from London, period. Implicit there, if you don't, we'll find someone else.
But I think if you're involved in soccer in Brazil, you understand the pressure and you accept it as part of a player or a coach or anybody involved to recognize that this is what they expect. They're going to expect it this summer, and it's only going to get ratcheted up even more 2 years from now in Brazil.
As the history you've seen with Brazil, they're just a factory of talent. They just keep producing them and producing them. And to think that this team has not won an Olympic gold medal is unbelievable, and they're going to try to put that right this summer.
If you're not familiar with the Olympics, each side allowed 3 over 23 players, and now tonight's selections will enter. United States preparing for qualification. Brazil working towards the Olympics. They are in, of course, the next World Cup as the host nation. The USA just beginning the grueling road to qualification in CONCACAF. You tell yourself not to look at the jersey, not to look at the crest, not to look at the 5 stars. You're professionals. You're trained to do that. Can you really block it out?
It's hard. It's pretty bright. And they're very, very good. But you know, this is why you play, to get up for these games, to play against a player like Neymar, to prove yourself. I mean, that's what these players are thinking about right now.
Well, especially in a setting like this. This is a friendly, you know. Of course, there's no truly such thing as a friendly, but there's no pressure on this game. There's no qualification. There's nothing. Go out and have a great time and go compete and try to win this thing.
As the pregame festivities continue, Brazil, questions about how the nation will see Sunil Gulati, president of the U.S. Soccer Federation, leading the way, along with the Hall of Fame inductees. Tony DeChico, our colleague last summer on the Women's World Cup, leading the way. Des Armstrong as well among the inductees today for the National Hall of Fame. The questions about whether that nation will be fully ready. A FIFA report released just within the last week suggesting that only 5% of the needed projects have at least been undertaken. But where there's no doubt, in terms of spirit, the meter is pegged in Brazil. Whether that will carry the day, we will see in 2 summers.
broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
The weather is perfect. The pitch is in great condition. Ian and Taylor on the other side of the break. The USA in Brazil.
We love theme parks, but with 4 kids, it can just be too expensive.
Yeah, so to save some money, we just made our own.
Oh, no! What could be worse than 90-foot swells? Typhoon!
First prize. It's a cheese grater.
Driving confidence.
We are live at FedEx Field in Maryland. A glamour fixture, an acid test for Jurgen Klinsmann's US team against Brazil. A marquee name, of course, the 5-time World Cup winners. Some late arrivals. The traffic's been bad. 70,000 spectators expected for what is always a great game. United States unbeaten in their last 5. Big hopes, big expectations. It all started that foggy night in Slovenia when Michael Bradley got back in the team.
It did. It was that night, Ian, that we saw the reinvention of Michael Bradley as a player. We've always known that Michael Bradley's had the engine to be 90 minutes box-to-box player. But over the last 6-7 months, we've seen the maturation of Michael Bradley. Now going forward, very effective 1-2 touch passing inside, outside the foot. And then his goal Saturday night in Jacksonville defines Michael as a player. Wins the ball, finds that release, knocked over, stays with the play, and buries a half volley upper 90. Michael Bradley, my Gatorade prime to perform player tonight, is key for the U.S. in the midfield.
He's sitting deeper tonight, slightly different role, and Herculez Gomez, the striker, getting his first start since the World Cup in South Africa.
This morning, though, Jurgen Klinsmann said the key tonight for the U.S. is the center-back partnership of Bocanegra and Anyewu. They must stay together, not get tempted to follow those forwards of Brazil into the midfield and stay compact.
Taylor, those 2 central defenders have got a big job tonight, though, because they've got to mark this big prodigy, Neymar, and Hulk, who got a couple of goals at the weekend against Denmark.
Well, and let's be honest, Ian, that's who everyone behind us is here to see, is Neymar. Very special player, dynamic, and in his younger stages of his career, maybe a little too casual, but over the last year or so, we've seen the end product. He will make defenders look foolish, but now you're starting to see he'll put the ball in the back of the net.
And Hulk, of course, who attracts the cliched, but nonetheless entertaining headlines about incredible Hulk. He's pretty good, you know, and he's about to move to Chelsea by the look of it.
Yes, and what's different about Hulk and Neymar is he's very efficient, powerful left foot, but inside that 18-yard box, clinical.
Here's the Brazil lineup coming up for you. And it's interesting, in goal, they have a debutant called Rafael, who's taking over tonight from Jefferson. There is that lineup for you.
Yeah, and Sandro's going to stay in front of the 2 center backs, Juan and Thiago Silva, the way he does for Tottenham. But the key tonight for Brazil is Marcelo, the left back, Danilo, the right back, are going to get forward. The U.S. makes sure they have numbers out wide.
So all set to go here. The Brazilians have won the last 8 times against the United States, including that dramatic Confederations Cup final at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, when the US led by 2-0. Dempsey and Donovan, and Brazil came back to rescue it and win 3-2. This United States side at the moment have a bit of a buzz about them, and the win in Italy, I think, has convinced a few people that they are growing into a genuine world power in this game. United States wearing their new outfit for the second time, the red and white hoops. And you can expect the usual high-pressure, high-intensity game. And Herculez Gomez, they look to release him early on. He's got a bit of pace that might get behind the Brazilian defense. It's a massive opportunity, Taylor, for him tonight. Altidore, of course, not match fit yet.
Yeah, and you just said it best. Herculez Gomez needs to stay very composed. He's going to be very excited, high emotions, get in behind and stretch that back line of Brazil.
Jurgen Klinsmann felt that Denmark, who lost 3-1 to Brazil at the weekend, showed them too much respect. And 1 or 2 crazy goals in that game. And straight away, the United States trying to make progress down the side with Fabian Johnson, who's been a wonderful discovery in the last few months. And some people are calling him the best left back in the Bundesliga, the German coaches at the moment.
And the best left back came right out of that man's mouth this morning at breakfast. Jurgen Klinsmann really liking everything he's seeing out of Fabian Johnson, particularly in tight spaces, making that choice to play Michael Bradley in the midfield and get out.
You can expect flair, as always, from the Brazilians, but it is quite an inexperienced Brazilian side. 5 of them have 3 caps or under. They are planning for an assault on the Olympic Games in the United Kingdom in a couple of months' time. They've never won Olympic gold, a stat I find absolutely unbelievable, but it's true. A couple of silvers, 2 bronzes, never won it. It's a bit of a holy grail for Brazil, whose reputation, as lustrous as it is, just needs a bit of a coat of paint at the moment. Danilo to Sandro. Tottenham Hotspur player gets a free kick. Juan laying it forward. Possession football from the Brazilians, but watch them change the pace when they get into the final third, and there'll be all kinds of bewildering movement for the United States defenders to deal with. Chipped forward by Marcelo. Nobody looking like they might get on the end of that. Here's Johnson again. Back to Carlos Bocanegra, who's been presented with special glassware to mark reaching 100 caps a couple of games ago against Slovenia. Played up towards Hulk there, who tries to get between the central defenders. Having got a couple at the weekend, he'll certainly have the scent of blood, I think.
No, and you just saw a perfect example of Vanyewu and Fabian Johnson providing cover. Jurgen Klinsmann wants to make sure when Hulk tucks in off the back shoulder of Bocanegra, Fabian Johnson, Steve Cherundolo provide cover.
The US, of course, coming off that big 5-1 win over Scotland at the weekend down in Florida. It's Neymar doing the tracking back. He's got half the teenagers in Brazil trying to copy that hairstyle. Donovan looking to bend one towards the far corner. It was quite far away, but you could see the idea. Here are the United States substitutes, including Clint Dempsey, who's been carrying a groin injury and not fit to play 90 minutes, but I think you'll see him at some point tonight, and I think you'll definitely see him in the World Cup qualifiers coming up. Still, no Dempsey and Donovan on the same pitch together in the Klinsmann era. That is quirky, to say the least. Talking to Landon Donovan the other day, he said, watch out. Wouldn't hate to be the side that has to play us when we've got everybody firing. And Yewu getting himself in a little bit of a fix for a moment. What's the realistic expectation, Taylor, of this United States side tonight? Can they pull off an eye-catching, headline-grabbing win here?
100%. That's why you play the game, man. These players have come onto this field. If they are together, 10 field players with Timmy Howard in goal, do their job, stay together, don't get flustered, see what happens as the game progresses. There's no reason why they can't win.
Girondolo does well. Here's Michael Bradley. He's been in great form in Italy for Chievo. And for the United States too. Gomez didn't quite keep it in play. He'll be so anxious to do well. He's been full of goals in the last year in Mexico, 19 of them.
The first 15 minutes of this game, Gomez will do a good job of immediately turning, getting in behind. That now allows Hercules the rest of the game to check in, receive the ball with his back to goal, and allow the midfield to get forward.
Yewu is making only his second start for Jurgen Klinsmann because of fitness issues. Coach has been making the point to him that this could be a golden period in his career for the United States. But there are a few candidates for that position alongside Carlos Bocanegra. Clarence Goodson definitely among them after his great display in Italy. Neymar looking for a little flick, and his referee from Costa Rica, by the way, looking after him there, Jeffrey Calderon. Here is Neymar. It's very young Brazilian side. Maybe the United States can exploit that. It's a battle-hardened team in the main. I think there are 6 players out there in the starting lineup who've got over 60 caps for the USA. Lovely little flick by Hulk. Sandro. Here's Hulk again. Looking to bend one, and Tim Howard. One or two of the defenders got in his way, but he held it anyway.
Just Hulk, very simple. Moment that ball turns over, he finds Sandro, but then it's the quick 2 steps to get in behind Fabian Johnson. All left-footed, will always go to his left foot. Fabian Johnson, the rest of the game, has to push Hulk to his right side.
Remember, the United States have only once beaten Brazil in 16 meetings back in 1998 in the Gold Cup semis at the Los Angeles Coliseum. You've been hearing about it pre-kickoff if you were with us. Casey Keller, our guest today. A heroic display from him, and a goal from Preki. Marcelo. That's too far ahead of Leandro Damayo. Real Madrid left back, Marcelo. Sometimes, anyway. Other times, Jose Mourinho prefers Fabio Contrao. He's a feisty character. Thiago Silva, the captain, inside to Romulo. And now Juan. Danilo, the right back. Like Hulk, he plays for Porto. Cost a lot of money too. Now Torres. Very much the ball player in the midfield. The passer may just open up the opposition with something creative. Bradley kind of has that sort of role as well, though he's the anchor tonight. It's an acid test, this one, isn't it? Really interesting.
Of course it is, and you heard Jurgen Klinsmann this morning talk about as the game progresses, different challenges come. This is why these tests against these type of teams, Italy, France, Belgium, Brazil, this is the experience that he wants his players to get, that no matter what happens during the game, can you change the game in the US's favor?
Jermaine Jones to Donovan, and Adu looked to get him behind there. The ball just took a little deflection and forced him wide. To recreate some of that pleasing one-touch football we saw against the Scots at the weekend. But Brazil are capable of that too. That was a bit careless from Leandro Damião. Now Oscar. And there might be something here. Charged on it, hit on Yewu. And the referee, he's going to give a penalty, I think, here. Well, there's drama early on. Romelu's effort was charged down, and the referee has pointed to the penalty spot. Controversial.
Of course it is. I mean, at what point does the ball... Oh, man, I mean, Onyebu's arm's sticking out, that's tough.
Looked like ball to arm to me. He didn't actually raise his arm. It stayed kind of by his side.
And that's the definition. No card was given.
Which makes it even more bizarre. Now then, last night, the Brazilian players were practicing penalties for about a quarter of an hour. Not too successfully. Neymar's going to take this.
Well, and that's difficult for Onyebu, because at what point as a defender is your arm sticking out from your body or it's inside? That's a tough one.
And watch this run he takes. It's a long one from Neymar, a jinking, twisting run.
And the longer Tim Howard can hold his ground, the more difficult it is for Neymar.
He does it. Tim Howard goes the wrong way. Brazil are ahead as early as the 12th minute. In somewhat contentious circumstances, it has to be said.
In the long run, Tim Howard, you're thinking, at what point does Neymar show himself? Anytime as a penalty kick taker, you get the goalkeeper going the wrong way. Job well done. At what point, though, is the center back in? He can't tuck in his arm that much further. That's a tough call.
Not a penalty to me, that.
No chance.
It has to be intentional handball. If he's raised his arms in self-defense, that counts as intent. If he leaves them by his side and the ball hits them in the way that it did, I think that's quite a tough call.
Well, and the question is, where could Onyebu put his arm? His arm was next to his body.
No point arguing about it. They've got to get on with it. These things happen. And here's Jermaine Jones. Chirundolo. Torres picks out a ball to Maurice Edu. We got hold of it, but it was a long way wide, in truth.
But a good turn from Maurice Edu. Finding that spot right in front of the back four of Brazil. That's a very dangerous spot to be.
It looks like this referee is pretty anxious to play a key role in the drama, and he's now booked Torres for something or other. Maybe something he said. Looking aghast, isn't he, Jurgen Klinsmann, at developments and wondering what's in store here. Johnson with work to do. Well, they've got to keep their concentration here at the United States and not be sidetracked by the debate or any bitterness about that decision. Landon Donovan's got something to say as well. Danilo digs out the cross, Donovan with the header. And the boys in the studio made the point beforehand, Taylor, there is no such thing as a friendly for Brazil because the nation hangs on every single kick of the ball that the national side makes.
And particularly when they're this young. Olympics coming up this summer, every player trying to prove themselves. Some players playing for contracts, transfers. Tough opponent.
Offside this time. Danilo getting forward again from the right back position. To watch him, Torres is going to have to just track his movement. Quarter of an hour gone. Sandro wins the header, and the referee has seen some pushing by Thiago Silva and gives the United States a decision here on Gomez. And goalkeeper, 22, Rafael from Santos, the famous club of Pelé, making his debut.
And knowing that the goalkeeper's having a debut, you know nerves are a part of this. It's vital for Landon Donovan to whip this with pace right in front of Rafael. We saw the U.S. yesterday, and didn't we? Practice set pieces for over 20 minutes, knowing that they have an advantage. Here's an opportunity.
Looks like Hercules Gomez is going to be the one to hit it. Is indeed. Not a bad hit. It's solid enough. Right behind it, Rafael. The goalkeeper never played for any of Brazil's youth teams on the way through, so he's pretty new to the international scene. He did play Jefferson against Denmark at the weekend. Can't really drop a guy called Jefferson, can you, in Washington? Romelu plays it forward to Neymar. Good movement from the Brazilians. The United States, can they counter quickly? Here's Maurice Edu. Wide to Jose Torres. Good to see him back fit again for the last couple of games. He's missed quite a few. Fabian Johnson, good idea towards Gomez. Curl on it, was always going to beat the striker.
But this has been the impressive part of Fabian Johnson. We saw it against Italy in February. His ability to cut that ball back to his right foot. Knowing that, can Landon Donovan, Hercules Gomez retime that run's back post?
It's a wonderful atmosphere here at FedEx Field. It looks a really big crowd looking out, and of course lots of support from Brazilian fans based on the East Coast. Now Leandro Damião can make it too. What a save from Tim Howard. One-on-one. Well, the US defense was unzipped there.
Yeah, but anytime you're playing against Brazil, you know your goalkeeper's got to come up huge. Has to come up huge 2 or 3 times, and Timmy Howard does just that. Perfectly timed run from Leandro, but look at Tim Howard, comes out, makes himself big.
That's well read. They knew about those short corner routines, done a bit of homework there, the United States. Bradley being pressed for possession there. Playing at their own game a little bit there. Pressure high up the pitch. They scored a goal, a second goal against Denmark like that, nicking the ball from the opposition in their own half.
But it's a good read from Jose Torres. Can Michael Bradley just hit that first time? This is just big time from Timmy Howard. Nothing more. Come out, stay big, hold your ground. That's big time.
Brazil making the early running, it has to be said. Hulk. Danilo joining in. Hulk once more. Going through some of the skills that it looks like Chelsea fans might be enjoying next season. The deal isn't done yet, but Hulk's already sending out tweets to the Chelsea supporters. We're going to get another yellow by the look of it here, are we? Oscar this time.
Now, this is good defensive work from Fabian Johnson, but again, under pressure, not playing the long ball, playing out. Well done from the youngster.
Couldn't really argue with that one, Oscar, though referees often in friendly matches are not quite as strict as they might be if it was like a World Cup game. But
not this one.
Now this referee's on the case of everybody from the word go. Zero tolerance, I think. Ask Onyewu about it. Coming up to 20 minutes. That is Onyewu up to Chirondale. So look at the Brazilian players again, looking to keep the US pinned in their own half. I mean, the answer to that is good long balls out, isn't it?
Right, and that's the exact difference of what we saw Saturday in Jacksonville against Scotland, where the back four from the US had time. Maurice Edu, Michael Bradley, Jermaine Jones could come find the ball in the center of the park. Tonight, it's more difficult. So can Hercules Gomez, Can Landon Donovan, can Jose Torres get behind that back four from Brazil? Now allows everyone to push forward.
Jurgen Klinsmann understands the way Brazil play like that, but he does want his side to keep up their passing and composure, even under that kind of pressure. Not easy, though. Hulk, who's a real box of tricks, isn't he? Danilo coming forward at every opportunity. The US have to find a few strategic answers here to all of this. Here's Landon Donovan. Adu. Donovan pitched up against Marcelo, who comes out on top in that exchange. He might be one of the overage players that Brazil take to the Olympic Games. There will be 3. Thiago Silva, the captain, I think will definitely be 1, as he was 4 years ago in Beijing when Brazil got the bronze medal. Here's Leandro Damião again. Tries to cross shot. It wasn't bad, was it? Howard had to be smart. Good effort. Euro 2012 kicks off in just over a week on Friday, June the 8th. 11:30 a.m. is the time for Poland against Greece in the opening game. Then at 2:30, Russia against the Czech Republic. Both those games in Group A. We've got every game on the ESPN family of networks beginning a week from Friday. Jones. Good ball. Not an easy one for Torres to try from there with the ball running across him.
It's such a difficult hit, but a good look from Jermaine Jones to switch fields. I don't mind this whatsoever from Jose Torres, but when that ball comes across your body, you have to hit that perfectly, almost aiming back post, similar to Michael Bradley in Jacksonville. So in case you slice it, it's still on frame. The last 2 or 3 minutes, Torres is getting more involved. More touches, finding those spots in the midfield to break pressure.
This is a big game for him, like a lot of the other players. Can he stamp his authority and his class with his passing on this level of opposition? Jurgen Klinsmann saying this morning he wants him to get a bit nastier to go with all the creative flair he shows.
Yeah, and you can see it in Jurgen's face. His face lights up when he talks about Torres going forward, attacking. But can he add that little bit extra defensive responsibility? But let's make no mistake about it, Torres is on the field to create.
Gomez is fouled. It's a free kick here for the US. I have to say, Brazil so far, pretty impressive, Taylor.
Yeah, and it's that initial pressure on the back four. In the US, it's difficult to get any type of rhythm going forward.
And Donovan cooking up some kind of plot here. Might just be a question of Torres hitting it with a left foot from that advantageous angle. Yet to score for the national side, Torres. Maybe Donovan's going to chip one. Yep, that's exactly what he does. Oh, and it was an opportunity as well with Carlos Bocanegra coming up from the back. He scored plenty like that.
Yeah, how often have we seen Carlos get that extra half a yard of space? It's a perfect ball from Landon, right behind that back four. Rafael can't come off his line. Carlos wants that one back. Perfect spot. Heading that down, back post. Thiago Silva does a little bit just to get in the way of Bocanegra in that ball.
There's a big chance, I think. Bocanegra has scored 12 goals from his defensive position over the years, but none in the last year or so. Marcelo. Oscar wanted it. That's a good challenge from Onyewu. Make sure it never got to Leandro Damião this time. Here's Oscar again. Wearing the famous number 10 shirt. Marcelo towards the back of Howard. Out to Hulk here. Back across the face of the goal. It was a miscue from Onyewu. It could have gone anywhere, and he was very grateful. It ballooned over his own bar.
Timmy Howard's been very active this first half. But Marcelo, if he can hit that first time, Leandro's in. Surprising Hulk doesn't hit that with bending back post on frame.
Forward with the right foot, good defending by Jermaine Jones there, who's growing into a big character. I wonder if he can become the United States kind of Yaya Toure figure, if you like. Powerful presence in the midfield, and doing very well with Schalke, who finished third in Germany this year. Neymar, and there's a second goal. They just did not pick him up. And the Brazil moving to a 2-goal lead, and that really is a sucker punch direct from a corner kick. Thiago Silva, the captain, is the player who's got it.
No, and you see Carlos Bocanegra, a group of players. Jermaine Jones just loses Silva. It's difficult. Jermaine Jones comes back, gets caught up in the melee, and this is why you have to be very close. That's too easy.
That's criminal defending. I think Jurgen Klinsmann will be beating his fists in frustration at that.
And that's one thing that the United States team take pride in, set pieces. Not good enough.
It's his first goal for his country as well, and his 27th cap. 24 minutes gone, Brazil 2 goals to the good, and they've dominated this. And at the moment, you'd have to say this is a bit of a reality check for the USA after the 5 goals against Scotland. What are they going to be able to do about it?
It's the next 5 to 10 minutes. What is their reaction? Do they stay composed, stay in the game? Even though it's just a friendly, it's a test for that man right there. Jurgen Klinsmann can learn a lot from his players and their reaction with their backs against the wall.
Bradley playing very, very deep, but unable to orchestrate the play from there because he's always been under severe pressure on the ball, and the passing will need to be a little bit better than that. Here is Bradley. Son, of course, of the ex-coach of the side. Gomez did well there, made something out of nothing almost.
Well, Gomez has done very well in this first half. Drawing fouls, getting in behind, holding that ball. Hercules done a very good job 28 minutes into this game. Another set piece in.
USA needing a reason to believe a little at the moment. The referee's making it clear here to Romulo and Hercules Gomez that he's watching all the pushing and shoving. If I was Brazil, I'd be a little bit worried with this referee that he's looking to give another penalty to level it up.
You see Leandro near post. Someone from the US has to get in front of him.
Rafael, the goalkeeper, did well. He had to come through a crowd of bodies to get a punch on that. Flicked on by Jermaine Jones. It was a chance for Donovan. He couldn't quite keep it down. Came to the right player, the guy who's just got the hat-trick.
And Anyewu's had long thrown. This is perfect. Challenge that ball from Jermaine Jones. We saw it earlier with Torres. That ball comes across your body. Landon does a better job of keeping the technique just a little under it. Well done from Landon Donovan to get on the end of it.
Just wonder if that took a flick off one of the defenders. It might have been a corner kick. By the way, Donovan's next goal will be his 50th for the United States. He's already the record scorer for the nation. Tim Howard didn't really want the ball by the look of it there. He got it anyway. Bradley to Torres, returned neatly and got fouled. Went to the World Cup, didn't he, Jose Torres? Quite a few of this side did. amid all the experimentation of the early part of the Klinsmann era, the core remains the same. That's his record so far, but includes victories in the last 5 games against Slovenia, Venezuela, Panama, Italy away, and Scotland at home. And Mano Menezes is the coach of Brazil. I think when you're the coach of Brazil, you're always under pressure.
Yeah,
I think he's just got to win the Olympics, hasn't he, to keep his job? Piece of cake.
Not so sure I would want that gig.
And Sandro's got the a bit of blood around. That looks a bit nasty, doesn't it? And they may be making a change, and Casemiro is among those who's warming up. He goes straight into the midfield and won't take a chance, I don't think, with Sandro. Maybe something they can just patch up. Here's Carlos Bocanegra. Edu, his teammate at Rangers, of course. Those two have had all the turmoil of the financial problems of the Glasgow club to deal with this season. Chirundolo was the player trying to make headway. Marcelo very strong back there in that left-back position. A very un-Brazilian-like pass forward. Anywhere would do, almost, by the look of it.
No,
Don't see them do that often, do you, Taylor?
No, but how sound defensively has Marcelo been this first half? A couple times Landon Donovan getting involved, taking them all just quick.
Jones for the United States. He's sitting pretty deep as well. Fabian Johnson. Fizzed one in towards Donovan and couldn't quite make it stick. Good idea, though. It's only the 5th cap for Fabian Johnson. He's looked like he's got about 20 or 30.
Composed for a young age, getting forward, very confident, but it's a quiet confidence, carries himself very professional. Jurgen's very high on Fabian Johnson and his future with the U.S.
I think he might be busy tonight, though, the way this is shaping up. 2-0 to Brazil within the first 24 minutes. US just beginning to establish a little more in terms of gaining possession in the central midfield. Whether they can turn that into any end product, let's see. Chirundolo. It's offside this time, just straight, didn't he, Gomez? And the United States start World Cup qualifying against Antigua and Barbuda at 7 o'clock on Friday, June the 8th. US men's soccer on ESPN, ESPN3, and live on Watch ESPN as well. The next game after that is away to Guatemala, which might be very, very tough. A hostile place to go.
It's not a might. It is tough.
Yeah. And they only lost 3-2 to Costa Rica, I noticed the other day. Costa Rica distinctly handy. This is Oscar. He's looking to spring from the midfield there down that left-hand side. Got to be good to get that number 10 shirt for Brazil. Pelé, Zico, Kaká, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, just some of those who've had it in the past. Not a bad little list, that. Ganso would have played tonight, but he picked up a bad knee injury at the weekend in the Copa Libertadores. Needs a knee operation. Hulk is the player down here. Porto man again, spreading it wide. Marcelo of Real Madrid, now Neymar of Santos. Leandro Damião was pretty strong there. Edu, look at the pressure they're putting him under here, only about 5 yards outside his own penalty area. They will not concede an inch, Brazil, and you have to say so far that's paying off, and the US haven't looked like they've been really able to deal with it, Taylor.
No, and the difference is against Scotland, the three in the midfield had plenty of time on the ball, getting forward, allowing Donovan Torres to get forward, and right now they just can't build out of the back.
Neymar again. Brazil, of course, hosts of the next World Cup, which means they do not have to go through qualifying. They will automatically be in the tournament. They'd have made it anyway. Of course they would.
And earlier this week, a great piece from Bob Lee on Outside the Lines on the preparation of Brazil and where they're at. It's well done.
You've still got 2 years. I might need it. Danilo, no, not this time. Out of play. Porto paid $19 million for this fella. No Dani Alves tonight. He was originally named in the squad, but he hasn't made it. The Barcelona man. Sandro's back out there, complete with a headband now. Matching the shorts as well in blue. I think that's a FIFA regulation. This is Herculez Gomez. Nice tricky piece of play. Oh, Bocanegra was hustled out of it there. And it's Leandro Damião. Looks very, very strong, doesn't he? The big number 9 across the face, a goal towards Neymar. And some good defensive work from Cherundolo.
Just a little too casual from Carlos Bocanegra, but Damião's just been a beast. An absolute handful, particularly defensively, consistently putting pressure. And the moment that ball turns over, he's off to the races.
Difficult moment that for the US skipper. Hulk again. It was fascinating last night, Taylor. We were here watching the Brazilians in practice, and at the end they just had a sort of game for about 20 minutes, which was like kids in the schoolyard, just enjoying it and loving the game.
Well, you see it how they play, don't you, Ian? You see the creativity, you see how they're just... The thing that is underestimated with Brazil is how they are defensively. The moment that ball turns over, it's the immediate pressure on the opposing team that makes life very difficult to get that ball back.
Something the Barcelona sides have had, of course, all the good teams do. How you play without the ball. Pretty handy with it, as we've seen here. Marcelo to play it across the face of goal, and this time it's good defending again. But they look like scoring with most attacks.
No, and a lot of that has come from Marcelo coming down that left-hand side.
Fourth corner this already for Brazil. They've created a host of near things as well as scoring twice. And of course, one of those goals came direct from a corner, which any defensive coach will tell you should never happen, really. Not at this level, anyway. Donovan again. Look how Brazil win the ball back so easily.
The moment Herculez Gomez finds Landon Donovan, what's the immediate reaction from Brazil? Two defenders put pressure on Landon Donovan, no options.
Can't keep the ball here, the USA. And it takes some time to get it back again.
Well, the hardest part is, Ian, when you defend consistently, and by the time you get the ball, you're exhausted. The first or second pass out of pressure is vital.
And the US are not putting any pressure high up the pitch on the Brazilians either. They're a little worried, I think, about what might happen on the counter if they do that. You might be right, too. Neymar lays it inside, and this is not a threat this time, swerving Off target from Oscar. Only his 4th cap, the player from Internacional. He's thinking. And he's got quite a bit of thinking to do here. But Jurgen Klinsmann wants the US in tough games like this. That's why he was very happy to play away to France, away to Belgium, away to Italy. And in those games, has to be said, the US acquitted themselves pretty well. They only lost 1-0 in those away games with France and Belgium, and won historically in Italy for the first time. But this is something else again.
Well, and you have to be honest, it's been a little bit unlucky.
Defensive mix-up. Neymar almost latched onto that. They've done this without him really being that involved so far, Neymar. Not that he's playing badly or anything like that. He's joining in the play okay, but we haven't seen him go through his attacking repertoire. Not yet, anyway. He's got plenty of tricks. Hulk turns up there in a midfield position on the left-hand side. There's a real fluidity about the team here.
Well, this is where Brazil's at their best. Possession, keeping the ball, baiting the U.S. team to come out, chase the ball, and then break them down with 2-3 passes and get in behind.
Look at that, 11 scoring chances. Somebody's been keeping count. 2 goals. And the USA very much on the back foot. After that Scotland game, it's a case of after the Lord Mayor show, this a little.
But you know you're going to be on the back foot somewhat playing against Brazil. It's just how efficient are you the moment you do win that ball? Can you have a little bit of possession to take pressure off your back four?
Too long this time from Thiago Silva. Through to Marcelo, who's been excellent in the first half. He really has. He was another one who won a bronze medal in Beijing. The Olympics there. Interesting to see who the overage players they pick for the Olympics. I'd make them massive favourites on what I'm seeing here. It is an under-23 competition. Each team's allowed 3 overage players. England, by the look of it, they're going to pick David Beckham of LA Galaxy as one of theirs. Nothing confirmed yet. What can Jurgen Klinsmann do about this in the second half, Taylor?
Well, at some point you come in at halftime and you just make this about the second half. Forget about the first half and try to get something out of the second half, albeit change the formation, put pressure on Brazil.
Absolutely dominated this game. I say at the moment that the US looking a little bemused by all of this as well. You've just got to hang on in there somehow. Have a think about it at half-time. See whether they can come up with a game plan to make sense of things. Not easy. They're up against a very, very fine side. Cherundolo. It's kind of like the story of the half-aide who couldn't quite control it, but Bradley's picked it up this time and has found a decent-looking ball to Fabian Johnson here, across the face of goal, and the United States do have one with Hercules Gomez. It was a brilliant move and a superb goal. Is that the start of the comeback?
Well, and you said it best, Ian. They just got to hang around, and well done. Watch Michael Bradley realize if he can knock this in behind, Fabian Johnson can hit it first time. Perfectly timed run from Fabian Johnson and Hercules Gomez. All you need to do is get in front of that goalkeeper, get any part of your body to put that on frame. Well done from Gomez Johnson, 2-1 Brazil.
Wonderful move, great pass Bradley. Lovely overlapping run from Fabian Johnson, and Gomez in the right place to finish it off. There'll be a minute of stoppage time, and that's the lift that the US needed just before half-time, because they've taken a chasing, really, till then. Donovan now. Very good goal. First time Gomez has scored for the United States since the friendly against Australia just before the World Cup in South Africa. Johnson again. He's looked bright enough in that position when he's managed to get forward. Hasn't been often.
No, and it's a difficult task against Brazil when you're Herculez Gomez, knowing you're not going to get many touches on the ball, but can you be effective? He's been strong, drawing fouls outside the 18-yard box, and gets a reward with a great finish.
That is the end of the half, and Herculez Gomez has given the United States some hope. They were taken to school, really, in that first half by Brazil, who scored 2. It might have been more as well. Maybe the penalty was a little bit on the harsh side. So some thinking to do. 2-1 it is at half-time. When we come back, we'll be with Bob Lee, Alexi Lalas, and Casey Keller. 2-1 Brazil at half-time here in Landover, Maryland.
Just as you were about to reach up onto the shelf for that familiar storyline, U.S. played okay, but they ran into a world power. Life breathed decidedly back into this match in the 45th minute by the Gomez goal. Bradley and Fabian Johnson setting it up, and we are now 2-1 at the break. Casey Keller, Alexi Lalas, Bob Lee. Different match, just changed, turn on a dime like that.
Yeah, that goal going into halftime is important for the U.S. because they were thoroughly outplayed. My notes say Gucci Onyewu, problem in the way that he's playing, not just for tonight, but going forward. I thought Fabian Johnson had a great half. I thought Herculez Gomez did a lot of work up there. If you're the U.S., though, get beat by Jogo Bonito, but do not get beat by set pieces.
Well, yeah, you can see set piece is a big part of the match at any time. Carlos Bocanegra very close to scoring on a set piece for the U.S., and then they go down at the other end and concede the corner, and you're 2-0 down.
Highlights, it's an academic question because it was whistled as a handball on Onyewu here in the 10th minute. And then Neymar takes the penalty, and he had missed in practice yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of what he was doing in practice, and he had missed a couple. I was wondering if that was going to write on his mind. In the end, he hits it hard, he hits it low, and it's 1-0.
And then we talked about set pieces. This is part of what the U.S. has been about for decades. They cannot lose the ability as they try to evolve. Set pieces, mark your men, stay with your men.
But we've shown the heart that this U.S. team has had for all the time. Fantastic pass from Michael Bradley. Fabian Johnson right there, slots it, Herc in the right place at the right time.
World-class pass by Michael Bradley. The timing and the patience to wait for it, and then slot Fabian Johnson through.
Every time Fabian Johnson has come forward tonight from that left back position, you heard Ian say during match commentary that Klinsmann is of the opinion he was the best left back in the Bundesliga for the last third of the season. Each time he's come forward tonight, he's made a difference in this match.
Yeah, he's been very, very important. And when we talk about Timmy Chandler, well, we don't have to talk about Timmy Chandler if we have Fabian Johnson going up and down and not just providing the defensive responsibilities, but also the offensive responsibilities and understanding how to play with the Herculez Gomez, too.
Well, and he's got a handful on the defensive side with Hulk. You've seen he's a big man, he's quick, good touches, but doing a great job on both ends of the field, something Jurgen Klinsmann really wants this team to focus on going forward.
But we talked about the difficulties playing out of the back. It's got to be quicker from the U.S. with this type of pressure, and when they do resort to long balls, they have to be good long balls.
Coming up for the USA with electricity breathed into this match. Canada, a friendly on Sunday, then the World Cup qualifying begins next Thursday. You'll see it on ESPN. Then a visit to Guatemala. That's always a tough one on the road in Central America. We're at the break. In the 45th minute, the Gomez goal. Bradley and Fabian Johnson setting it up. What was a Brazilian rout? We've got a match in the nation's capital.
Welcome back to FedEx Field. United States 1, Brazil, the 5-time world champions, 2 at halftime. And Taylor Twellman with me here. And the United States getting a goal back just before the break, and good work from the scorer Herculez Gomez.
It really was, and you heard Casey Keller and Alexi talk about it at halftime. The timing of the pass from Michael Bradley to Fabian Johnson, but it's all about Herculez Gomez. understanding his timing right here, knowing that he's got the Brazilian defender in front of him to get in behind his back shoulder, but to time that run at the right time that allows Fabian Johnson to play that right in front of him so it's an easy finish. How often do you see that center forward make that early run where then he has to stop? Well done from Herculez Gomez.
We can hear from the United States coach, Jurgen Klinsmann, who's with Monica Gonzalez.
Coach, what did you tell your guys at halftime to come out and be able to impose more of your own style?
Well, we simply told them to take our own game more to them. I think in the beginning we were a bit too hectic. We lost too many balls. And obviously kind of being 2-0 down after 2 set pieces is not what you want. But then they fought their way back in the game. They pushed more and more. And we want to do that now. We want to push them back into their half and wait for our chances. And I'm pretty sure that we get our chances, as long as we're not getting a third goal in the next 10-15 minutes.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Jurgen Klinsmann with a positive attitude, as always. He's always upbeat, isn't he?
He always is. There's something about him. We saw it at breakfast this morning. You see it with the players, the positive attitude from him.
Great credit to the US to fight their way back, because as the guys were saying at halftime, it had been a pretty one-sided half until that goal. There's the statistics. United States with 7 shots, 2 on target, 1 corner. Brazil 6 shots and 4 on target. Sometimes the stats can lie a bit, because I think really the evidence of our eyes was that Brazil were dominating that game, and we're not creating chances at will, but creating a lot, Taylor.
No, they were very dominating, but on the other hand, Ian, they gave up a goal at the worst time. 5 minutes before halftime, when you're up 2-0, give the U.S. a lot of credit to get a goal and get right back into this game.
Looking for only a second win in history against Brazil. The U.S. here, the last one 14 years ago, remember. Last time the two sides played was just after the World Cup, when Bob Bradley was still the coach, and Brazil won that by 2-0 at the Giants Stadium. Neymar scored on that occasion. That's him playing it back right at the start of the half to Sandro. Got that head wound in the first half, but soldiering on. Here's this captain, Thiago Silva. No substitutions yet, but 6 are allowed, and usually you get a whole lot of them around the 60-70 minute mark. Part of the territory, really, with friendly matches. US next in action against Canada, away from home on Sunday in another friendly. Hulk here. Powerful figure, isn't he? Almost can bulldoze his way through if the tricks don't get him past defenders. A handful. He might be a popular addition at Stamford Bridge if he does make the move. $64 million they're talking about. And they've just paid a fortune for Eden Hazard, the brilliant young Belgian.
Yeah, but doesn't it all just sit on the shoulders of Fernando Torres at Chelsea?
Well, it might not next season with those two guys arriving, if they do. Here's Bradley. Nicely worked here. Jermaine Jones sprung forward. It's come up here to land, and Donovan, who can't get the better of Marcelo there. Good bit of play, though, by Jones, wasn't it? Springing from the midfield like that.
It was good release from Michael Bradley as well. You want to see Landon Donovan right off the bat take Marcelo on with pace.
Here he is again, Hulk. Hulk with some bulk as well. Goes down in the penalty, no appeals even this time.
Well, but Hulk going forward, and who's there defending? Herculez Gomez tracking all the way back.
Marcelo lays it to the prodigy, who is Neymar, who for the moment is staying in Brazil, despite all the stories linking him with moves to Barcelona and Real and Premier League clubs. I think he's staying put, certainly till the Olympics and probably World Cup and beyond. Oscar's down. I think one of the problems when you play Brazil, any team, their reputation goes before them. There's almost a sense of awe playing a team with their history. I think any coach has got to deal with that, and his set of players too. Hope from a long way out. That's how much confidence he's got at the moment. He was a long way away as well, it should be said.
I mean, that's just one of those where you look at right of the 4 guys that make the 40-yard run forward to try to get on the end of the cross. Look at their faces when Hulk has that shot from 50 yards.
It was a bit on the daft side, wasn't it? It's a definition of optimism, really. Donovan. Not quite for Jones. And this time pressing the Brazilian defenders high there. But they found a release ball. Danilo. Thiago Silva's diagonal ball. Steve Cherundolo was there. Fabian Johnson playing a little further forward. Torres had dropped behind him. Now then, here's Donovan. Gomez was looking to make a little run. Check back in here to Jones. And now Bradley. Could be some comeback by the United States if they were to pull it off here. I say for most of the first half it looked very improbable. It's going to be a foul on Marcelo. Just the left his studs in the air afterwards. It was a little ill-tempered. He is
But that's the part of Marcelo that just drives you nuts. No need for that.
He's been in a few scrapes, notably in Real Madrid Barca Clásicos.
It's really the only thing about Marcelo that's negative about his play. Very temperamental. No reason to swing the leg. Cherundolo does a good job. Simple foul. There's just no reason to kick your leg out there.
Cherundolo's challenge, but he's wondering why Marcelo has got in such a lather about it, I think. It was something and nothing, really, wasn't it? The whole incident has been turned into a drama.
Nothing there. It was a foul. Move on.
Brazil, by the way, in action in Dallas at the weekend against Mexico. That game sold out, I'm told, at the Cowboys Stadium. And then they play Argentina in New Jersey on the 9th. So we're having a little spell here in the United States. Always welcome visitors, of course, and always guaranteed massive support, as they've got here tonight. And there's good support, too, for the US. Good challenge by Sandro to stop Jones from powering through from midfield. But there's a better sense of belief and a positive attitude here from the US. It might be dangerous trying to take the game to Brazil, but they're going to try it. Neymar here, cuts it back, it's another one. Marcelo is the scorer. Beautifully worked by the Brazilians. And that's what Jurgen Klinsmann, when he was talking to Monica Gonzalez just after the break, said we can't deal with another goal in the first few minutes of the half.
And Ian, that's the biggest dilemma when you play against Brazil, is when you choose to go forward and push numbers forward. If you lose that ball, Brazil will kill you. Perfectly timed run from Neymar, picks up his head. Marcelo, after playing the first pass to get in the attack, peels off the back corner, back shoulder, look at that, right behind Onyewu and in front of Bocanegra. Simple finish.
Arriving from the left-back position, his 4th goal for his country. Marcelo, in only his 11th cap. That's not bad for a guy playing left-back, by the way. 2 of the defenders have scored.
It's the continuation of his run, though. It's not the first or the second run. It's the 3rd run that he continues on to see the play through. Rewarded with a great finish. And right before that goal, Ian, you said it. There's a little bit positive energy going forward from the U.S., some confidence brewing, and boom, it's gone.
Well, it's getting the mix right, isn't it, between attack and defence. There's sometimes a price to pay if you're too cavalier with the attacking, particularly against sides like this who can hurt you so quickly in breaks and counters. Donovan's cushion header. US get the throw. But this is the kind of opposition United States will have to deal with should they get to something like a quarter-final in the World Cup. Clint Dempsey is being prepared for action now. He's been out with a groin injury, missed Fulham's last game with that as well in the Premier League. Coming off a stellar season, of course, he could make a difference. They need him. Torres is going to take the throw. Free kick, I should say. No hands involved. And Oscar leading the charge here. They're looking for things on the break. Good covering, good speed from Fabian Johnson. Not easy to outpace Hulk. Still waiting to come on, Dempsey. And I think there'll be a bit of history made here. It'll be the first time that him and Donovan have been on the same pitch under Jurgen Klinsmann. Oh, Neymar nearly conjuring up something as well. Unless, of course, Donovan's the one who's substituted. I wouldn't think so. I think it's going to be Torres. Hasn't really been able to stamp his authority on it. Neymar looking for a little ball through there to Leandro Damiao. Jones is the player who's hurt. Played most minutes and had the most assists for the USA in the calendar year 2011, Jones. Captain the side as well against Venezuela and Panama. Here's the change then. At last, Dempsey and Donovan playing for the United States together now under Jurgen Klinsmann. It hasn't happened so far.
No, and this is where you want to see 35 minutes. Forget the score of the game. Can you play your best soccer in the last 35 minutes with Dempsey, Donovan on the field, Hercules Gomez running in behind?
All the way back to that Gold Cup final against Mexico, the last time they played together. Donovan's got a hat-trick in his last game, and Clint Dempsey scored in his last 2 internationals for the USA, including that match winner in Italy in Genoa. Not to mention the 17 Premier League goals he scored this season. Only Robin van Persie, Wayne Rooney and Sergio Aguero with more. Donovan is toward Dempsey. Did he handle the ball in there? He was under a bit of pressure. The play goes on. Donovan plays it in again off the head of Sandro, not the arms. Otherwise that might have been a carbon copy of the Onyewu incident. Oh, a yellow card being given to Jones there. This is getting pretty feisty.
Very feisty, but immediately when Clint Dempsey comes into this game, the energy's picked up. Getting for it, a late challenge from Jermaine Jones. This is on the sideline. Neymar's nowhere to be found. It's a strong challenge. Reckless, late challenge on the sideline.
Couldn't really complain, could he? It's a yellow, bit of frustration building up. Neymar was the player who took that challenge and is still limping. Tough night. Romulo just trying to bind the things together in the Brazilian midfield. One of the youngsters they're trying to bring through is Marcelo, far more established, of course. But the side that played the United States a couple of years ago, only Thiago Silva and Neymar. But this team were in the starting lineup. He's all right again, Neymar. I think some of the crowd think we made rather a lot of it, but Jones certainly did go charging in. Juan. FIFA World Cup qualifying starts on Friday, June the 8th. Antigua and Barbuda, the opposition, in Tampa. 7 o'clock is the time on that date. Don't forget Euro 2012 starts earlier that day. ESPN, ESPN3 live on Watch ESPN as well. Brazil 3-1 up here. Ruthless bit of finishing at the start of the second half, just as the US were looking to press the button a bit. This is towards Donovan Marcelo. Wasn't quite sure where that was landing. Leandro Damião has been impressive so
Very
far.
impressive, Ian. The timing of his runs in between splitting Bocanegra and Gucci have really posed a huge problem for the two center backs from the US. It's a big, strong center forward. Again, Marcelo. Baby games.
And more verbals going on with Marcelo's involved here with several of the United States players. And he gets a yellow card. I think he just kicks the ball at Cherundolo, doesn't he?
He does, but these are things you can control, Ian. There's no reason. Yes, we know. Steve Cherundolo took you down. Your shoe became a little untied. I get it. Just carry on. I just don't get that part. So one thing, you see the positives are Marcelo going forward, scoring a goal, very active. And then you have the negatives.
He's quite a volcanic character. I think you've seen that tonight. He's certainly wound up, I think, some of the US players.
Yeah, but in big games, how can your head coach trust you in that?
Sometimes Mourinho hasn't trusted him.
It's not a question of talent. I think it's just a question of between the ears stuff with Marcelo.
What might change the mood a little bit here is if the US can poach another goal from somewhere. Juan was the player who played it back. He's gaining experience there alongside Thiago Silva at the back. Made his debut against Denmark at the weekend. He's with Inter in Milan, but he hasn't actually appeared for them yet. The production line of Brazilian talent is quite amazing. I think I read somewhere there are about 6,000 Brazilian pros exported around the world.
Few teams can sport two teams. I'd be very curious to see how many competitive teams Brazil could field.
Quite a few, based on those figures anyway. And most of them would be pretty handy. Jones. It's the wrong ball really for Donovan, that one. Got to get that final ball spot on against this level of opposition. I think the US have changed shirts at half-time as well. They've gone back to those ones with the grey numbers, about which there were 1 or 2 complaints at the weekend about them being a little invisible from a distance. Marcelo's ball's a little careless this time. It's cut out by Fabian Johnson, who set up the US goal. Dempsey linking up with Johnson again. That's more good work from him. Stands it up towards the back post. Oh, and how did it not go in? Dempsey was attacking it after the header down. My goodness me, it had to go in. It didn't. Incredible.
Wow. Watch this little move from Fabian Johnson. Sets up that little half a yard for Herculez Gomez, and I am shocked. Clint Dempsey tries to slide with his opposite leg instead of just running right through it, but actually give the Brazilian defender a lot of credit.
It was
Thiago
Romulo.
Silva came in late there.
Romulo, great work from him. Just got there ahead of Dempsey. Second corner for the United States in the game. They needed that one to go in as well with the score at 3-1.
And from the initial angle, you couldn't see Romulo come in late. How about the move from Fabian Johnson? Just a little move, a little deke that sets up that half a yard to whip the ball in.
I was going to say Dempsey wasn't going to miss from here.
No chance. And that's
Romulo.
Herculez Gomez coming up, heading that ball back to where it came from. Give Romulo a lot of credit.
Meanwhile, Alexandre Pato is coming on for Brazil to replace Leandro Damayo. Good ball from Dominant, that handball by Herculez Gomez, yeah. He's done okay though, nearly came up with another one. He might have scored himself with a more powerful header down, it seemed to me.
Been very active. This is a difficult task when you're up front, center striker. You know you're not going to get a lot of touches of the ball. But when the ball comes your way, can you be effective? Herculez has done a very good job of making the most out of every single time that ball's in his vicinity.
Swaps a joke there with Thiago Silva. Not all the conversations have been quite that friendly out there, though. Particularly the ones involving Marcelo.
And Jermaine Jones and Neymar on the sideline.
Yeah.
Kind of like our conversations when you haven't had enough coffee in the morning.
You know I'm always cordial. Real long ball forward towards Pato there from Thiago Silva. Very ambitious ball, nearly came off to Neymar now. Oh, Oscar, back to Neymar again, might be another one here. Oh, it's off the post. Pato could have scored with almost his first touch. Great move, and that's what they can do. Clever, wasn't it?
It's just something special from Neymar, and you've seen that over the last year. Early on in his career, pundits said he was maybe too casual, but now the moment he passes that ball, finding the next space to run into, he's turning into a special, special player.
Well, it could have been 3-2, but it could also have been 4-1 in the last couple of minutes. Chirundolo now. He got the 9-iron out there where it needed something fizzed with the 3 or something.
No, but watch the first step from Neymar to stay on side right behind Chirundolo. Pato's unlucky. Very unlucky. The moment Neymar hits this, such a good run from Pato in between the center backs and Fabian Johnson. That's unlucky.
Pato's the only survivor, Taylor, from the Confederations Cup final. Brazil team. He was on the bench on that occasion. That's how much their side has changed between that particular assignment and this one here, anyway. Pato's involved in a lot of soap operas, of course, with marriage and divorce to an actress. It's involved with Silvio Berlusconi's daughter as well. Gomez doing very well. Back to Bradley. The one thing the United States don't want here is to take a bit of a mauling from Brazil. Something to dent the confidence with the World Cup qualifiers just around the corner.
No, but there's also that human nature part where you want to go down swinging, knowing that it's just a friendly. Again, like you said, it could be 4-1, it could be 3-2 right now.
Ooh, that's a mistake that time by Sandro, who's lucky to get away with it. He gave it straight to Gomez, who couldn't quite bring it under control. You get the feeling this Brazilian defense can be got at, don't you?
You do, especially right in those little pockets in front of the center backs on a counter. We saw it in the goal right at the end of the first half. Michael Bradley steals the ball that allows Fabian Johnson to get forward. They can be had at the right time.
Marcelo. Neymar. Marcelo again tried to pick up Neymar's run. Oh, what a back heel from Marcelo. Well, had too much on it. South American Footballer of the Year last year by a record margin, Neymar. He hasn't played in a World Cup yet, but I think that will change for certain in 2014. I think there were 14,000 signatures. Went there from Brazilian fans pleading with Dunga to put him in the squad last time. Ignored.
He'll be there, no doubt.
Donovan. And the Brazilians give it away. Danilo in particular. Dempsey. Gomez's movement, he couldn't control it. Dempsey found him pretty well. And the effort from Donovan deflects and goes behind for a corner kick. It's pretty open at the moment, this.
It has been open. And a lot of it's coming from Fabian Johnson pushing forward, getting forward. Good strike from Landeman. Here's the set piece. Score still remains. It doesn't matter how dominating Brazil's been. Goal right here puts U.S. right back into this ball game.
Donovan takes it. Dempsey was among those going out for the header. Nobody got a clean one in, and the brake's on now. Pato. Oscar. Edu now. Chirundolo's done very well here. Good move down the right-hand side. Hulk again now. Neymar. Hulk. Invited a challenge, but there was nothing really wrong with it. Donovan. Under 20 minutes to go. USA need the next goal here. Time to look at tonight's Gatorade Recover substitution. On comes Michael Parkhurst, and Boyd's on as well here for Edu, and Chirundolo coming off to make way for Parkhurst. Central defender. And Terence Boyd, interesting character, who scored 20 goals for Borussia Dortmund reserve team. Dortmund, the champions of Germany. And Boyd, we're told, is about to leave them and join one of the lower sides in the Bundesliga, but playing in the top level in Germany next season. Jurgen Klinsmann likes him. He's raw, but he offers something maybe a little bit different. He's quick, isn't he, and strong.
He is very strong, and this substitution changes the role of Herculez Gomez. Now the second forward, consistently getting him behind, playing balls forward, having Boyd hold the ball up. Michael Bradley, Jermaine Jones joining in the attack.
Just the third cap for Terence Boyd, who would have been going to the Olympic Games this summer had the United States not failed to qualify in heartbreaking fashion. Oscar to Neymar. Danilo, the big right back, who has looked from the word go as if he wants to be on the score sheet tonight. His first cap against Argentina last September.
We heard Jurgen Klinsmann talk about it this morning, that with Landon Donovan, with Clint Dempsey healthy, they may change into a 4-4-2, and it looks like it right now.
67,600 plus here. It's a fantastic crowd, that. Fully match sharp at the moment, Clint Dempsey. Big speculation, of course, about whether he'll be transferred from Fulham this summer to play for a club who are in the Champions League next season. We await developments there, as he does, I'm sure. He certainly deserves that opportunity, I think.
No doubt about it. Absolutely coming off his best season ever. But it's the attitude of Clint Dempsey that it's just hard not to want him as your teammate. No matter who the opponent is, he wants to go right after you.
This time Holt's run is checked. Parkhurst playing in the right back position. His club have just won the Danish Superliga. Nordjylland. Bradley looking for the long ball towards Gomez, who's run many miles out there in the United States cause. Neymar. Oscar. On and on, invited to shoot, does so. It was a bit too hot to handle for Tim Howard, but he got there in the end.
Just a special play from Marcelo coming out of the back. Absolutely ridiculous.
Dempsey looking to chip one in behind. Great ball for Gomez. Forced a bit wide. He got a great shot and it was a fine save. Oh, and then, well, you thought they had to score. Boyd got on the end of it and couldn't quite finish it off. Bradley tries to find a way through, and the United States are foiled again. They've come so close a couple of times in this second half.
What a ball from Clint Dempsey. Perfect ball, perfect pace, over the top, that allows Herculez Gomez to run right onto it.
Boyd got hold of it well enough, but it was blocked.
Just look at that ball, Ian. Right over the top, and good job from Terence Boyd to foul this play up.
The goalie got his legs to it, didn't he? The
yes, he did.
keeper.
Comes up huge. Absolutely huge. Watch the reaction. Moment that save up, back up.
Oh.
Just get a touch on it.
Superb goalkeeping by Raphael, twice over there. What a shame that was for Terence Boyd, because he did nothing wrong there. Absolutely hammered it on target.
2 times this second half in. 2 times that the US have had wonderful chances. And someone from Brazil has been there to stop them.
A couple of real last-ditch pieces of work, that time by the goalkeeping, and before that by Romulo. Sandro playing it wide. Sandro played Tottenham's last 5 games, started them. Marcelo again has been one of the man of the match this time. Onyewu has had a difficult first half. Oguchi Onyewu on his return to the starting lineup.
Well, and you've seen the two different spots in the starting lineup. Up front, Herculez Gomez, very promising game from Gomez, and it's been a little bit more of the opposite from Gooch in the back. Unlucky in the first half of the handball, but just a little slow in reaction, picking up the runs out of the midfield. It's been a tough one.
12 minutes to go. United States, nothing wrong with their attitude this second half. They're going for it and have made things. Donovan, good ball. Bradley, can he cut it back across the face of goal? Again, some last-ditch work from the Brazilians. They do look a threat, the United States. In the early part of the Klinsmann reign, they had plenty of the ball, but didn't look like they could score in a month of Sundays. At the moment, though, this team have got a little bit of punch about them, and they really probably have deserved more than the one they've got tonight. Mind you, Brazil could have got a few more as well.
It's changed the last 3-4 minutes with two forwards up front, allowing Parkhurst, Johnson to get up and down the flanks. U.S. has been dangerous.
Onyewu plays it forward. It's a clever little turn, wasn't it, by Donovan. And this time Marcelo nicks it away from him. It'll be a corner. He's everywhere, isn't he, tonight? Marcelo, you can't write him out of this script. It's a fourth corner, this, for the United States. And yet more substitutions coming up. Casimiro is going to come on, the Sao Paulo player. And Edgar Castillo as well for the United States. The good hands, all-state save of the game is this one.
It was
from Rafael. 2 in 1, yeah.
It really was two of them. It's the reaction immediately after that first save. I know Casey Keller would be very proud of that reaction from Rafael to make himself big and make a great second save.
Very lively performance from Herculez Gomez. Has he done enough to threaten Josie Altidor's usual starting place once Altidor is fully fit? An interesting question, that one, Taylor.
No, it is a good question. Different roles, but 81 minutes, very promising from Herculez Gomez tonight. But again, it's not over.
Not yet. Juan with the clearance. They've been stretched in this second half, though, the Brazilians. Neymar fancies a run at Parkhurst here. Oh, there's that trickery. It's brilliant. He's got lots like that. Go onto YouTube, you'll see them. He's the youngster again. Pele says he's going to be better than Lionel Messi. That's a big call. He's
no pressure.
He doesn't need that really either, does he?
No.
Beckerman's on for the United States as well. Central midfield player from Real Salt Lake. And the ball was rather carelessly gone out of play. Maybe a little tiredness on that occasion.
No, and this is just, you can't teach this. And Michael Parkhurst isn't the first defender to have this happen. Very simple. The quick stop and start sets up that defender, and once he knows you've committed, he's by you. But again, good recovery from Landon Donovan. Neymar's something special.
He's got his 9th goal for his country tonight. He's getting one in every 2 games. That's this one from the penalty. Hulk's coming off now. Casimiro's coming on for him. That's a midfield player for an attacker. A change made by Mano Menezes. Entertaining game for the big crowd.
The U.S. can squeeze out a second goal here in the next 5-6 minutes. Be an exciting ending as well.
You've got to say they've made this second half much more competitive. It's been pretty even Steven, really.
Well, definitely two big saves from Rafael.
Donovan's crossing towards Dempsey, who's very good in the air, of course. Pity he couldn't get on the end of that.
Not only is he good in the air, Ian, though, he's the perfect third run into the box. Boyd, Gomez occupying the two center backs. Let Dempsey find that space.
Parkhurst, Beckerman's little dummy, goes for the return, not quite able to get there. It was Juan who got it away. Not to be confused with the player of the same name who's much more experienced and plays central defence for Brazil, played at the last World Cup. This one is just a novice, really, at 20, winning his second cap. Lucas comes on now for Brazil. So many substitutions. Neymar's very tired. It's the last we're going to see of him. Absolute quality, of course. This fellow is as well, by the way. He's just come on. This 19-year-old from Sao Paulo, who Real Madrid and Manchester United and a host of other clubs have been looking at.
They just keep coming.
Yeah. He started against Denmark at the weekend. Here's Onyewu. Goes United States way. Marcelo's got something to say about that. He needs to watch his step a bit. He's on a yellow, remember. And now he's moaning at the referee's assistant too. Donovan with his free kick. United States need a goal here. Oh, they might get Bradley's header. Great save again from Rafael, who's made quite a debut. Lovely header from Bradley.
This is such a good save. But look at Michael Bradley. That ball's a little behind to stop his run just to get something on that. Rafael in the right spot at the right time. That's just a reaction save.
Oh, and this time they've hit the bar with the header. And that goal is leading something of a charmed life. Pouring forward, Donovan with a clever ball towards Boyd here. Brazilians having to defend tenaciously late on, and the bar coming to the rescue on that occasion.
Look at the defensive work in the 86th minute from Hercules Gomez and Michael Bradley.
Good finish here from the United States. Gomez again. Definitely his best performance in an American
without
shirt.
question. But set pieces, Onyewu coming in late. He's just unlucky. Does everything, towering over right off the bar. It's been the story of the second half for the U.S.
Yet another corner kick. Bouncing around dangerously in the end. Yewe was there again. They've needed that goalkeeper.
Needed the goalkeeper, needed the goalpost.
Another corner kick. Oh, and Dempsey this time, and he couldn't get enough raw power onto it. Well, like a few Brazilian sides before them, this Brazilian team looked better going forward than defending. Lucas. Marcelo. Oh, clever ball, that one. Pato. That's four. Absolutely clinical. It's a harsh scoreline for the United States, the way they played in the second half, but you have to say that was magically created and finished. Alexandre Pato of AC Milan makes it 4.
Now watch this run, Marcelo. This is such a good ball, but it's a better run from Pato to realize that Onyewu's late coming out. So just stay on side whatever you can. Sets it up perfect, back post. Give Marcelo a lot of credit to give Pato a chance.
Great finish, though, from that angle to beat Tim Howard from there.
It is, but look at the run. Knowing that he's on the last line of defenders, he sees Onyewu late coming out. Such a good finish from Pato.
Who hasn't quite turned into the player that a lot of people thought he would for one reason and another. Injuries, a few soap operas, as we were saying, off the pitch. That's his 7th goal in 19 caps for Brazil. Player who rejected a move to Paris Saint-Germain this season, then got a thigh injury, which ended his season early. But I think you saw the quality there. That's what he can do.
It's just a little run. But again, it comes from who coming forward? Marcelo. Coming forward, a little touch in and just knocks it over the top.
Don't forget, Euro 2012 kicks off in just over a week. Friday, June the 8th, the date. 11:30 a.m. for Poland against Greece, the co-host nation. Be a massive atmosphere for that in Warsaw. And then 2:30, it's Russia against Czech Republic, the other two teams in Group A. Every game on the ESPN family of networks beginning, remember, a week from Friday. Giuliano is going to replace Oscar here late on in the piece. And Alexandro has come on as well for Marcelo. Hope you're keeping up with all these changes.
I'm just following your lead.
It is bewildering in these friendlies as the cast list changes endlessly in the last 20 minutes.
So are your notes.
Parkhurst down the line for Donovan here. Boyd made a run towards the near post, learning all the time and wide-eyed as he visited the White House with the rest of the squad yesterday.